Hello everybody, it's Lavetta from She Busy Productions here to do, I have notes, a month 10 through 14, sorry it's been so long, review of my classes for Full Sail University. First of all, let me tell you what I've been up to. Tons and tons of schoolwork has taken place, and I figured that, since it's Sunday and I'm fresh home from church, why not use the fact that I have makeup on to do a video. But that's beside the point. I've done a lot of schoolwork. I've been picked to be a mentor for incoming freshmen for the DCBS program, which is Digital Cinematography bachelor's program. I'm really excited about that. And starting September 24th will be my junior year. I cannot believe it has really sped by that quickly. Going into my third year, I graduate February of 2014. I can't remember the exact date. And I do believe that I'm going to go down to Florida and graduate with everybody else. So that'll be fun. Without further ado, let's get into it because I've got a lot of stuff to discuss. There'll probably be some bloopers in here because I'm probably not going to take the time to edit all of the videos, because all of the segments together. So if there are some blunders, they are just some blunders because there's just got to be. First off, month 10 was art history. I'm saying again, tons and tons of reading about history and painting and philosophers and the way people painted back then. And I was like, oh my God, when I was in that class. But I can tell you that it does make a lot of sense once you get further into the class, that you do have to learn the fundamentals of art, any art, in order to be able to, explain anything. If you don't know about painters and how they got their inspiration back then you'll be lost for how people are getting their inspiration and what they're drawing from now. The best assignment that we had in the class was when you got to interview someone from your field for a podcast that we had to assemble. And wait, which side? I got fuzzies right here. Whatever. And I chose Richard Ronson, who has a channel here on YouTube. He's the one who I first saw doing stuff with the DCBS program, and I saw his unboxing first, and I saw his website and everything, and it was just really this over here is not a piece of lint or something. It's a gray hair. Sorry, I can see it, so I know you're looking at it and you're probably wondering what it is. Yes, I've gotten a couple more gray hairs with school, but whatever. Richard Ronson, I will put all his information for his blog and his YouTube channel down below in the information box, so you can learn a lot more about him and find out what he's doing, because I do believe he's a month or two ahead of me, and he's doing a lot of great things with the program. My 11th month was, the technical name for it was Composition and Visual Design for Digital Cinematography. I simply just called it design class, and that's what the folder that I had for it was on my computer. What I do is all the assignments that I get from all these classes, I end up putting them all into one folder and having that on the desktop instead of having tons of little things floating around. So I have little folders from all the classes, and I dump all the assignments in there, because sometimes, and I will tell you, you do need to go back and look at other things that you've done in order to kind of remember and refresh your mind on what you're currently doing. I know I keep all the notes that I've taken in any class since I started. And my first year of FSO, I put it all into one big binder. Lo and behold, like a couple of months ago, yeah, I think it was for PPD, we'll get to that in a minute, I had to go back into a class that I had, I think it might have even been my first one, Introduction to Media Arts, or I think it was my first one, and I had to go back into those notes to refresh my mind of what a term was, and like, what was that again, or exactly how do we do that, because trust me, when You have a class and you pass it, they trust that you've gotten enough information to be able to remember it even 6 months down the road. Because I think I had a class on something that had to do with the camera a while ago, and I just had to use it the other day, or for this class that I'm currently in, and I was like, whoa, how do I do that again? So make sure you always keep your notes, because you never know when you're going to need them. Anyway, for the composition and visual design class, what you had to do is they taught you how to make like mood boards and set the tone for whatever video you were going to be doing. And it was, I thought it was kind of monotonous at first, but once you got down to, the final project and what you were going to be doing, it really made a lot of sense. What we essentially had to do was make a video, and it had to be so many minutes and seconds long. I think it had to be like under 2 minutes, which was hard for me. And you had to put together your mood board for it, your storyboard for it, and everything, and totally plan it all out, just like you would if you were doing a short or a film. And pitch it to your teacher, explain to them what you wanted to do, and then you had to execute it. And it just so happened that when we were doing my final, oh my God, I was terribly sick. And I had planned it all out, did everything, drew my little storyboards, my little stick figures, and my shading and everything, and found the pictures that I wanted and put them on a mood board so I could do everything. But I was horribly sick the day of shooting, and I was like, oh God, please let this turn out okay. And it actually did. I ended up with an A+ in that class. I think, yeah, so far I have an A+ in everything for this last home stretch. And I will post the grades somewhere in there, probably here. Did you see grades? Yeah, just so you can see that I'm not just out here fibbing or goofing off and not making videos. I am seriously working. And if you know from my older videos, I have a full-time job and I'm a mom, so it's really interesting on my time budgeting, and that's kind of why my videos have been kind of slacking. I'm going to pick up here, though, I promise. For the class that I had after that was PPD. It's a project planning and development. That class was so informative. You literally got a budget that you had to spend, and you worked with there's two programs we worked with on PPD. One called Celtx, CELTX. That one is really good when it comes to like creating a big file that you can have all your storyboards and things of that in. Like if you were really, really going to make a movie, and you could just like drag and drop everything in there, create, storyboards and plots and sketches and plotting setups and things for your lights, cameras, everything. That program was awesome, and I'm glad we learned how to use that in project planning and development, because I'm using it again in the class that I'm in now. And we also did one with movie magic budgeting. I believe that's the name of it. It came with our launch packet the very first year, and I didn't use it the first year, and I had no clue what it was, but we ended up using it for this class. And that, it's like magic, I swear, and maybe that's why they call it movie magic. But it's like they gave us a budget for our production, and in the movie magic, it has all different kinds of categories, and then they sent us with the class like a mock catalog of things to pick from, like say whatever kind of movie you were having. We pitched a movie in the beginning, and then from that pitch we had to build what our budget was going to be, and you had to stay in your budget by any means necessary. There was no going over, because for a movie to go over budget, you've got to be working with a big production house, and chances are, fresh out the gate, you probably won't be. But sorry, I'm fiddling. But that movie budgeting and everything, that was really, really informative, and I kind of believe that I'm gonna need that later on in life. I'm 100% certain that I'm gonna need that, and I'm very thankful that they gave us those capabilities. Let me see. The next class after that was creative writing. Now, I don't think I've said this before, but I have always been an excellent writer. Never had problems with writing, coming up with anything, character development. I thought this class was going to be a breeze because I know how to write. You were given the oddest kind of assignments, and you're like, what? But I'm telling you, it would draw even more out of you than what you were probably used to doing. We had to find a picture and on the internet, anything, any kind of picture, and write about that picture. So, and then they ran it through, what was the name of that system? We had, that was when I got first introduced to turnitin.com. We had to turn in our things through Turnitin, and I was like, what is this thing? But Turnitin will literally take everything you've done once you put it on, and it'll compare your work that you did to a million jillion other works that are out there on the internet and books and things like that. And it's literally like a plagiarism detector, and it'll tell you how much of your story like kind of pairs up with other things. And luckily, I think I had one thing that hit it like 2%. I was like, hey, what's that? But all the other things that I wrote were like 100%, didn't come up with anything. I don't know if I still have. Uh, Maybe if I have the stories, no, I can't post them because well, yeah, I probably can because they're original works. I'm thinking if I can find the stories that I wrote, well, the main story that I wrote about the little picture, that was the first assignment, then I will put it on the blog, and I'll have that information down here as well, so you can kind of read it and find out what I did. That class was really good. We had no WIMBA sessions, and well, we did have them for PPD. I think I was like hung up on work, and it was at an odd time, and I couldn't show up. Um, Art history, motorcycle. Art history was. I don't think there was any WIMBAs for that, and if there were, I probably didn't show up. Um, Composition and writing, composition, visual design, there may have been a WIMBA for that, not quite sure, but I know there were not any for creative writing, and I was like, I didn't like that at all, because I like a WIMBA session where I can like see the teacher or even hear the teacher and ask some questions, things like that, if I think that I'm going to be having some trouble in a specific kind of category. But that class ended right before summer break, which was really cool because I was going out of town and didn't want to have kind of like schoolwork on my mind. And so it worked out that I didn't. And no, I'm not going to say that. Let's see. Creative writing. We worked on developing better characters and storylines. Now, some of you might think like, oh, I got a good storyline. But you have to make it so that the story has depth and there's fullness to the characters and not just, oh, this is so and so. I'm sorry, I have an eyelash. It's kind of wayward right now. There. You had to make sure that the characters were, full on characters. Like, this is not just what I do, sit here and make videos or whatever. I actually have a life outside of this, and I actually have things that I do outside of this, and that's really important when I'm so sorry you guys have to see this, but it's going down, and I got on mascara, and I do not want mascara in my eye. I'm sorry, this is probably I'm gonna edit this out, I think. Okay. Anyway, we had to work on making sure that our characters were like actual people. Like, I know when I first read what book was it? I read Waiting to Exhale a million years ago when I was 19. I was 19 when I read that. And I remember thinking, after I was finished with the book, wow, I wonder what they're doing. I wonder what Bernie's up to. I wonder what Savannah's up to. That's how you know you've created a great character. I read recently, after the Hunger Games came out, and I'm telling you, the main reason why I went to go see the movie is because I found out that some people who had graduated from Full Sail had worked on the film. And I tend to want to see, my phone's ringing now, sorry. I tend to want to see all the movies that graduates have worked on just because it gives me a little bit of inspiration. But I chose to go see The Hunger Games because of that. Well, at the end of the movie, and I didn't know it was a trilogy, at the end of the movie, I was thinking to myself, like, so now what? So I went and I got the Kindle app on my iPad, and I bought the trilogy, and it was really cheap on Kindle. I think it was like $15.99 for all 3 books. That's a steal. And I read all 3 of the books in probably under a week. And when I was done with it, I remember thinking, sorry, that was my notebook. I remember thinking, wow, I kind of missed them. I kind of missed, what's going on back in the seam, or, what's going on back in District 12, or did they ever find so-and-so? And that's how you know you've created a very good character, when people are left feeling like that was a friend and they miss their friend and they haven't talked to their friend in a while. That's how you know you've created a good character. And that's what we worked on in creative writing, making sure that your characters were actual people, that they connected with the audience, and people would want to know more about them, or that they would miss them if they weren't there. And that they connected with the audience in such a way that the audience would care about their well-being. Um, that class really helped me to kind of develop my characters a little bit more. And it also, like, the minute I thought, and here I am thinking that I'm done with this. Oh yeah, I wrote a great story. There's no way you could not like this. And it was awesome because I got an excellent grade in the class. But for the final, she made you take that story that you thought was awesome and change the ending and completely come up with something that was polar opposite of what you had. And what I had, there was no polar opposite. I was like, oh my God, how can I do that? So I had to go back and rework it and make sure that it all came out good. And it did. I have had an awesome grade in that class. I think that was an A+ too. But it took some serious brain power to get that to working right. It was interesting. The class that I just got out of was ethics and psychology. And I thought, oh my God, this class is going to be so boring. Ethics and psychology was so interesting. And we had WIMBA sessions, but there were a few times that I couldn't make it. And I prefer to sit in WIMBA sessions with my professor and not a professor who's teaching another class. I like mine. And mine was doing it like early in the day and I couldn't be there. So with ethics and psychology, the first thing we did coming into the class was we had to take a personality test. I didn't want to do it, but I did. And I thought, oh, this thing isn't going to be right. When I looked at the results of the personality test, I swear to you, it was spot on my personality. Now, I'm a stickler about certain little details and certain things that I just could care less about, but I do like to micromanage the fine details of things and make sure that everything comes out my way. And here, I'm up here thinking that I've got some kind of mental quirk or something's wrong, or I might have a tad bit of some type of autism or Asperger's or something. No, it's just, and I'm dead serious. I've said this to people. It's just that I have a higher sensitivity to things with my personality type. And we learned about different personality types. And for those of you who are going to be coming into the class, I'll tell you, I'm not a plate spinner. I don't have puppy syndrome. And I don't have superhero syndrome. So that leaves what? Wizard of Oz. If you don't know what that is, then look for it and it'll tell you that, yeah. And when I found out that I had the Wizard of Oz kind of personality type, and then I read up on it, I was like, oh my God, I'm in such deep trouble. And there is no way to change it. That's just what I am, and I'm gonna have to learn to deal with it. But I'm gonna have to learn to bring it down some, to not be so overbearing with it and try to make everything go what I call the right way. That's not always going to work. And it's true. It's true. You have to learn a lot about yourself in order to be able to really make other characters, or to be able to make somebody who's relatable to the audience. You really have to learn a lot about yourself. Ethics and psychology was one of the best classes. And it does put you in a situation, because a lot of the questions we had were questions where, like, we had to write a paper on something, and it wasn't necessarily a wrong answer, but sometimes you would feel like it was a wrong answer just because it wasn't what you morally were raised to believe. And it really gave you a different view of how other people were raised and how other people believe things. And just because I believe this does not mean you are wrong because you believe something different. And that was a kind of a hard thing to grasp. But once you get it, you totally understand that just because I believe that, the sky is blue and you grew up thinking that it was like a pale shade of aqua, doesn't mean either one of us are wrong. It's just that what I was raised to believe is what I was raised to believe, and what you were raised to believe is what you were raised to believe. And then there are some people who were just allowed to believe what they want. Parents didn't give them anything, and they just went for what they knew, and everything was cool. So you have to learn in that class that, everything's different. Not everybody's going to have the same kind of belief systems and core moral ethics. It teaches you about at which was that class? Yes. Ethics and psychology taught us that at certain ages and stages in life is when you learn things. And if you don't learn them in that stage, then you're going to be even further behind when you get to the next stage. And you're going to be picking up a little bit here and a little bit there and kind of making up your own way of dealing with it. And then by the time you're an adult, this is the way you've always done it. And then you found out it was wrong, but you keep doing it because that's the way you've always done it. And it's hard to retrain you to do things when you didn't get it as a child. So it'll help, especially for you parents out there who may have younger children. If you're thinking of coming to Full Sail University and you end up taking ethics and psychology, it's really, really going to help you. The class I'm in now is Digital Cinematography Lighting 1. And I'm going to tell you, I've learned an awful lot about lighting. You can't really tell right now because I think I only have on, well, there's a backlight there, and then there's one there, and that's only just because the dining room light's kind of not as bright, and it's not as sunny outside, so it doesn't really look like my other videos did. But Digital Cinematography Lighting 1 is a very good class. The very first picture that I ever took with the camera was it was way too bright. It was a little blurry. Things just weren't right. But I'm telling you, I think, yeah, I'm in week 3 now. I'm going into week 4. I have seriously learned a lot from this class. My pictures no longer, because what you do is you take a video of a setup and everything that you've done, and you have to really learn all these different setups and how far away your key is supposed to be, how far away your fill should be, your amps and paper amps. And I'm telling you, the first thing he had us do was go look at the fuse box in the basement, and I was like, I don't know nothing about this stuff. And you had to take a picture of your fuse box, write down how many was it volts and things like that in there. And I was mortified because I'm not that kind of person that's going to be tinkering around or even, and he didn't want you to touch anything, but you just need to have to write down which breaker had what room on it, or what part of a room on it, or what appliance ran on it, because you can't really run all these heavy, lights and cameras and things, and you don't have enough amps or watts coming into your house. It was a lot, but I'll tell you, it's going to be really helpful because when you get in the field, say you're taping a wedding and you don't want to go blowing microphones and blowing the organ out at the church because you didn't know that the organ and the microphones and the guitar and the pastor has a refrigerator in his study, and all of that was on one circuit, and you plugged in a light that was going to draw off way too much energy, and now you blew everything in the middle of somebody's wedding. You kind of need to know this kind of stuff walking in, and it was very, very helpful. But Digital Cinematography Lighting 1, I'm almost to the end of it, and I can say I've really, really had a great time, got a great professor, and I've shown up to every single WIMBA. I got to the last one late because I was at work, but I've gotten to every WIMBA, and they are very helpful because you can go and ask questions, and he'll show you different things that are coming up, and you'll need them for that week's homework. Now I'm going to get into some questions that I have gotten from several people who wanted to know, who've been inboxing me here on YouTube about different things in the DCBS program. I guess they're going to come into the program. I'm going to answer 2 questions that I had. One was from, I've had questions from No Sleep 215 and Mr. TC Boy 11. No Sleep is coming into the DCBS on August 27th. Congratulations. You're going to love it. You've probably already gotten your lunchbox and everything by now, so kudos. You got some good stuff. Is a prospective student, no previous experience, starting on the 27th of August, and wants to know what's the most difficult part about attending class online. And Mr. TC Boy 11 wants to know what to expect. I'm going to tie both of these in together. Congratulations to you both. I think Mr. TC Boy is already in school or is coming in. The most difficult part about it is time management. Like I said previously in the video, and for those of you who know me, I work full time. I'm a mom. I go to school, and I have my own production company outside of that. So it's a lot of time micromanagement. You have to learn that, okay, if I have an assignment due on, like I had one due today, if you have an assignment due on Sunday, you cannot just start doing it. Most assignments are due by 11:59. You cannot start on an assignment at 9 o'clock p.m., 8 o'clock p.m., something like that. Even if it's something that you concrete know how to do and you have absolutely no trouble with knowing this particular thing, never, ever, ever start a project the day it's due unless you have some serious unforeseen circumstance. And I'll tell you why. At least start them the day before, because you never know when something's going to happen. I had a few months back when I had my behavioral science class. You, on your quizzes, you can enter the things and enter in your answers and come back to it later and finish it. Well, that's what I had done, and I was looking for some other answer to a question, and I didn't get to submit it. The day before, the day I was going to submit it, we had a power outage because we had a serious storm, and I didn't get to submit it, but it was over. So that left me with a big chunk of my grade missing. The teacher I did get to talk to her, and she did reopen it, but because the internet and everything was down, I did not check it when I got home from work. I should have checked my email at work, but I did not, because I could have just got onto the system, sent it in from right there, and it would have been fine. I had all the answers into the quiz, but I think 2. Didn't check it because I was at work and I was busy, and for some reason the Full Sail email wasn't really refreshing on my phone. By the time I got home at about 2:30, I read the email from her that said she would take the test as long as I could have it into her by noon. It was already 2 hours late. When I went in there, it was already closed. She had opened it up for me. When I went in there, it was closed. Never wait till the last minute to do anything. You can have camera problems. You can have electrical problems. There were people in the class that I'm in now who were going to have like a subject sit for them so that they could work on their lighting, and you ask somebody the day of and everybody's got something to do or somebody's sick, and you never want to wait till the last minute to do anything. The other difficult part about it is you don't have much peer interaction. There are discussion boards. There are Facebook groups. You can talk to your peers in the WIMBAs. You do have a list of all your classmates. In your classes, you can just, like at the top, it'll say dashboard, which is stuff that's coming up. Activities, which will show you a list of everything, plus things you've completed. Classmates and grades, I believe, is on there, and then also references. And you can look up your classmates, click on their profile pages, email them if you need to, if you're having a problem with something. If you're on a discussion board, like in most classes, you'll have to write your papers and post them where everybody can see them. And sometimes people aren't as good at writing as other people. I'll put it that way. It's pretty politically correct. Sometimes people aren't as polished as writers as others. And what you can do is, if you know that you're the kind of person who's having some trouble, and trust me, you know when you are, and you see somebody else who's done really good, because you have to reply. When you post a paper, the teacher will require that you respond to somebody else's paper. So somebody might respond to yours. You have to respond to somebody else's. When you see somebody on there who's really, really good at writing, hit them with a private message or email them and say, I've seen that you've done this. Would you be willing to help me or give me some pointers? Or what do you think I could read to help me with this? If you see somebody who's really good at, there are people in my class who are excellent at lighting. I promise you, they look like they've been lighting forever. And I have no problem asking them, how are you doing this? How are you setting up? My space is smaller. I don't really have a whole entire room like you do. How can I get the same kind of look with limited space? That's wonderful. That's the only thing that's kind of hard, is you can't just walk them to them on campus and say, hey, blah, blah. Can't really do that, but you can do it if you email them, if you build up a good relationship in class. With No Sleep 215, with you being starting on the 27th, you say you have no previous experience in this. I believe in your email you said you just have always been a lover of movies. That's exactly how I was. Like, I had video cameras, I had filmed things. I can look at a movie and see what's right, what's wrong, what could have been done better. But, excuse me, I had no experience when it came to the business, well, too much of the business side. I had some, but I didn't have a broad knowledge of the business side of it. I didn't have a lot of this back stuff. Some things I didn't know I didn't have, but I didn't know it was there anyway. Like, when you come to Full Sail and you're in the digital cinematography program, they're not just going to show you how to shoot a movie. They're going to show you how to light it, how to budget it, how to pitch it, how to build it from the ground up, how to write it from a character, how to get it to blossom off of an idea, how to get your camera to have this type of temperature and feel to it. They're going to show you everything. So then when you go out to get a career, say nobody really wants or nobody needs right now a gaffer, a lighting person, but you need somebody to work on sound. You know how to work on sound by the time you're done with this program. Say you don't need, they don't need anybody on sound or on lights, but they need somebody to work on the camera. You know how to work a camera when you leave here. Say they really don't need anybody during production, but they need somebody in post-production. You're going to edit by the time you leave here. You're going to know how to apply certain effects, how to get the color balance right, things like that. You're definitely going to know how to do those kind of things before you leave. And say, you know, nobody needs any help in production or post-production. You know how to do all the pre-production work, budgeting, pitching, storyboards. I think I was making storyboards in one of my very first classes. We had to make storyboards, and I was like, oh my God, I'd seen these before, like in behind the scenes reels on DVDs and things like that, but I had never done them. You know how to do everything by the time you're done with Full Sail University, and you have, here's to the people who are wanting to come to the university for any field. But I know definitely for recording and DCBS. By the time you are done with your degree program, you will have enough knowledge, almost enough experience, and enough equipment to go out into the world and do whatever you want to do. They gave, in the first launch box that comes out, is your basics. You get your programs you're going to need, the laptop you're going to need, and things like that. The second one is where you get your cameras, your lights, the camera bag, things. If I wanted to right now, I could gather up a few actors and shoot an entire film. That's how much knowledge and how much equipment we already have. So it's a really good thing that, you know, before you come to the school, you ask questions, you check into other people who are there, you call the campus and talk to, you know, some of the advisors there. Everybody at the school is very, very, very nice and welcoming and personable when you talk to them on the phone. And like with financial aid, I just had to re-up for my third year. Wonderful people. I totally forgot. I didn't even realize my third year was coming. The lady emailed me and told me, Whitney. Hey, Whitney. She emailed me and told me, hey, your third year is coming up. It's time for you to redo your FAFSA and all this other kind of stuff and send everything in. I was like, oh, okay. Send everything in. She said, this is going to need this. Send that in there. And that's what I did. Everything's done. All my next classes are opened up when I look today. And it's because the people and the staff there are so awesome. Kudos to anybody out there who's going back to school. I know my sister is going back, so congratulations to you. Anybody, Tweet Star, that's my sister. Anybody who's going back to school, look into it first. Go into it with an open mind, knowing that this is what you want to do and you're going to be great at it. Always tell yourself you're going to be great at it, because you will. And don't have low expectations for yourself, and don't shoot too high. Just go into it knowing I'm going to get everything I can get. I'm going to use my mind to its fullest capacity, and I'm going to learn. Because even if you do not so great on one thing, take what you did, because the teachers will give you comments, and if they don't, then you just ask. take what you didn't do, learn about it, and then do much better on your next one. That's all you can do. The school is a great school. Anybody who's going to any school, kudos to you, because I know it's back to school time. Mr. TC Boy 11, you want to know what to expect? This is what to expect. A lot of homework. And not so much that it's overwhelming that I'm like, oh my God, I need to take a day off work to catch up my homework. It's never like that. I can devote literally, no matter what class, 2 or 3 days from a week to nothing but schoolwork after I get off work, 2 or 3 days, and then I'm done. And it's not so overwhelming that, my daughter and I can't catch a movie, or that we can't take a vacation or anything like that. It's a great school, great classes, no sleep, 215. You're going to love the school. You're going to love the programs. Everybody in it is very, very nice. And to anybody else, I'm going to wrap this up because, it's getting long. Anybody else, if you have any questions, go ahead and send them to me. I don't really check often, but I do check at least once a week. Send me your questions, and I'll answer them on my next video. I should have one coming up. I'm not going to give any dates but I'm almost done with this class, so I should be having another video coming up soon. So if you have any questions, send them to my inbox. Don't forget to leave me a comment below and to thumbs up the video. So thank you all for watching, and have a great day. Bye.
She busy.